Okay, this is part 1 of 13.3, which is titled Right Isosceles and Equilateral Triangles. And it's pretty similar to our last video where we're looking at the triangle and we're trying to find the angle measures. So let's look at this first one. I automatically see, if I turn it, that I have a right angle. And we know that right angles are worth
90 degrees.
90 degrees, very good. 90 degrees, there we go. And my question says, well, it's not really a question, but find the sum of angle A and B. And thinking way back to like first or second grade, you know that sum means to add, and it's the answer to an addition problem. So we're going to find the measure of angle A, find the measure of angle B, add them together to get the sum. So if we look at this triangle, again it's a right triangle because we have one right angle, we kind of have to assume that these other two angles here have to be equal. Okay? And we know that the sum of all three angles in a triangle is 180 degrees. Okay? And if I know that one of my angles is 90 degrees, I can do some subtraction here to get 90 degrees. Okay, so if I add angle A and angle B up, it has to be 90 degrees. But my question is, what is angle A and what is angle B? And like we just said, we have to assume that they are equal, so we can take this 90 degrees and actually divide it by 2. Do my division here, and I get 45 degrees. So angle A is 45 degrees, angle B is 45 degrees, and we already know the sum of angle A and angle B is actually 90 degrees. Okay, let's look at this second one. I don't know anything in this one, but don't panic, because I see my tick marks here on all three sides. All three sides have one tick mark, which you should be thinking that this is what kind of a triangle?
Equilateral.
It is equilateral. I always have difficulty spelling this. Oh, I think I'm doing it right actually. Equilateral, and you kind of hear that word equal, even though it's not really spelled correctly. So if all three sides are equal, guess about all three angles. They also have to be equal. What do we know about the sum of all three angles in a triangle? It has to be what?
180 degrees.
180 degrees. Okay. If I have three equal angle measures, then I can take 180 and divide it by 3. We know 3 goes into 18 6 times, 0, 0, 0. So that means angle A is 60 degrees, angle B is 60 degrees, and angle C is 60 degrees. But look at what it asks you to do. It asks you to find the sum of angle B and angle C. So going back up to my triangle, angle B is 60 degrees and angle C is 60 degrees. 60 times 2. So the sum of angle B and angle C is 120 degrees. Okay, let's go to another doozy of a triangle. And this you can kind of think back to the last video. We have one big triangle, and then there are two smaller triangles inside. So technically we have 3 triangles that we're working with. Okay, well let's figure out what we have to find. It says find measures of angle EGF and angle DGE. You should see something in both of these. Okay, remember that middle letter tells you the angle measure that you're trying to find. Okay, and both of them are G. And if you look over here to G, okay, the big G, as you can probably already see, is 90 degrees. But we're trying to find EGF and DGE. So we have to find the little 2 measures that we know are going to add up to 90 degrees. Okay, so I'm going to turn it back this way. Let's see what we're working with. I am going to put question marks here just to kind of organize myself. There's one thing we want to find, and there's the other thing we want to find. All right, let's start with EGF, this triangle here. Okay, I notice that my little angle measure of F is 26 degrees. And looking to see what else we know, we can see that my angle measure of E, I see a right angle sign, so I know that that has to be 90 degrees. So if we have two angle measures here, can we find what EGF is? You should be saying yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. We're going to add 90 degrees and 26 degrees together to get 116 degrees. And again, three measures of a triangle add up to be 180. So I can take 116 from 180, and you should get 64 degrees. So 64 degrees is angle EGF. Okay, so how do we find our other little sliver here? Again, you can see that we have a right angle here. If I've already found one little piece of this right angle, which is 64 degrees, how can I find this other little piece? Well, you can take the whole, which is 90 degrees, and you can subtract the piece you know, which is 64 degrees, and you should get 26 degrees. So angle EGD is 26 degrees.